Okay? Now, number 4 was a little more complex, and it's possible to get 2 different answers and both of them be correct. Depends on how you do the math. Okay? So let me show you. I'm going to solve 4 in 2 different ways. Now, some college student or college professor will be looking at this and saying, well, that's why you don't do this in this way. Well, that's because I'm teaching a high school, college prep class, and right now I'm just trying to get you to where you practice rounding off properly. Okay? We're going to be, in one of these answers, doing something that a college professor or somebody who's teaching a higher level math class would say is propagating an error. And they're right. We're going to propagate an error. But I'm not worried about propagating an error in this class. I'm worried about you learning how to handle significant digits correctly. Okay? So let me show you 2 ways you can do this and show you where you get 2 different answers. Okay? So we're going to subtract 1.2 amps from 112 amps. That's the first part. 112 amps minus 1.2 amps. So I need to get rid of that 1 in the tens place there. Made a bit of a mistake there. My whiteout is kind of getting all gummed up on me. Okay. So we subtract, let's see, 112 minus 1.2. I get 110.8. amps. Got 1 empty slot in this column, so that number gets rounded off, or that digit gets rounded off, and we have 111 amps. That makes sense? Okay. Now we're going to subtract another number from this. So we take this 111. Let me do it vertically here. 111 amps minus, what are we doing, 2.48? Okay, we got 2 empty slots here and here. I'm going to subtract the numbers. So we get 111 minus 2.48, 108.52. What now? Okay, I thought somebody was asking me to do something. 108.52 amps. I'll round off those last 2 digits. And what do we get? 109 amps. Okay, now, that is an acceptable way to do this problem. That's perfectly okay with me if you do it that way. But this is actually not as precise as the way that I'm going to do it next. Okay? You're not required to do it the other way. I don't expect you to know when you can use one process and when you can use another. I expect you to round off each time you do a math problem. Okay? But I'm going to show you why we're propagating an error. You don't have to know this. It's not going to be on a test, but just so you get a heads up about it. Okay? Because when you go to take a college class or a high-level math class or something and they tell you you're propagating an error, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. Okay? So let's do it another way. Let's take and do the whole problem as one. So we're going to start with 112 amps, and we're going to subtract both these numbers all in one big step. So let's subtract 1.2 amps and also subtract 2.48 amps all as one problem. Okay? We can see already that we have empty slots here and here and here. Okay? We can put it in the calculator though. And so we're going to start with 112. And then we're going to subtract from that 1.2. I'm going to subtract from that 2.48 and hit equals. We've got a little bit of a different answer, 108.32. All right. Round off the final 2 digits because there are empty slots in this column and this column. Use an arrow to show a rounding off. And this answer is 108 amps. Okay? Those are 2 different answers. But in this class, they are both acceptable answers. Okay? If you do the math in a different way and still follow all the math rules, If you get a different answer because you're simply propagating an error, I'll still accept the answer as being correct. Okay? They're pretty close, aren't they? Okay? And there was no math error on your part. I just simply want you to make sure you practice rounding at each step, because for some reason, students seem to find rounding hard unless they practice over and over and over. So we're going to practice over and over. Okay? Questions? Yes?
Do we not put a decimal after the 108?
Don't need a decimal place because there's no 0 in the ones place. That 8 is going to be significant without the decimal place. Let's see, this 150 here, we'll find out later, we haven't gotten there yet, that without a decimal there, we don't know if this 0 is significant or not. Okay, we'll talk about that when we get to what are called significant zeros. Okay? It's just a heads up for right now. Okay, over on the board over here on the right, I've got 3 problems for you to do for homework. So if you'll take and put that down on your paper, whatever, wherever you keep your homework list, make sure you're ready to do that homework.